So it was something on my heart that I wanted to talk about, and it's a lot to type, so I just decided to make a quick video. But like our generation, we was built for tough. I mean, mentally, spiritually, and emotionally. The enemy, he came at us all kinds of directions, but yet we still here. Like we have conquered and overcome so much to get to where we are now. But he coming at these kids on another level. Like, we gotta look at everything that's happening. I mean, he coming at them strong. And it's just important. It is so important that we are keeping not just our own children, but other people's children, just all of these children covered in prayer, because I feel like they're not as mentally and spiritually strong as we were. Like, y'all got to think, like back in the day, our parents we was latchkey kids. We had keys to the house at like 7, 8 years old. We was cooking for ourselves. We was doing so many things that we didn't have like all these electronics. Like we went outside, we was creative. You know, we would get into spats, little fights with each other or whatever, and we would be friends again like 20 minutes later. These days, these kids, they look at each other hard. They shooting each other. They stabbing each other. They are unaliving each other. They're unaliving themselves. Y'all know I gotta say that because y'all know Facebook be tripping. But yeah, like I feel like they're not built as strong as we was. Y'all remember back in the day, spiritually, we had praying grandmothers. Like our grandmothers, I mean, they was laying hands, they was praying over us, speaking in tongues, they was taking us to church, they was feeding that word to us, had us reading that word. Yo, these grandmothers these days 25. Like they 25 and partying. Like they ain't praying. They ain't pouring into their grandkids. They ain't staying in the word for their grandkids. None of that. They are not training up the children, and not just grandmothers. Like, yo, even us, like our mothers, we had strict mothers. Like it some winter time it's 5 o'clock, we in the house. School nights, we was in the bed by 9 o'clock. Summertime, we in the house by 9 o'clock. You know, we couldn't even go outside till the homework was done. You changed your school clothes. You couldn't even go outside with your school clothes on. None of that. Like, a lot of us not even doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just times have changed so much, and the it's like the door is just open for the enemy to just step in and cause havoc. Like he just out here wilding in these kids' lives. Honestly, I think a lot of it is because of social media, because it exposes our children to so many things that we weren't exposed to. We couldn't sit in a room when adults was talking. We couldn't be around even if an adult was on the phone talking. We had to say yes ma'am, no ma'am, yes sir, no sir, whatever. Adult, we could not be an adult. We would get popped in our mouth. We was in an adult conversation. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's social media. Y'all know if social media was out back in the day, there's no way our mamas would have let us. So we would have got told up if we was on social media. And y'all know it. Like, we couldn't even watch certain TV shows. We couldn't even listen to certain music. Like, I don't know about y'all, but I know with me, like, my mother didn't let us watch certain stuff. We couldn't listen to certain music. And especially with my grandmama. Like, when my grandmama was alive, yo, straight gospel, all day, worship, all day, every day. Everything was holy. Like, she was holy, 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 right? When I tell y'all, my grandmama she was in the spirit 24/7, right? And let me tell y'all, like for real, we stayed in church, we stayed in the word. And that's how a lot of us that's from like the same hometowns for real, that's how a lot of us be knowing each other. We know each other from church. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause we stayed in church. And church wasn't even like it was back then. Like, they was harsh. They preached holiness and righteousness. Like, they had you so shook. You felt like if you breathe hard, you was going to hell. So you was living right. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I didn't do this to get on here to do this long. I just want to encourage everybody to just pray for our children, pray for the youth, pray for the young adults. You know, just pray that God pour into us the things that we should be pouring into them and teaching them. Just pray that God help us to be the best examples that we can be for them. Just pray for them. Pray for their mental stability more than anything, because so many kids are stressed and going through it, and they're committing suicide and things like that. And it's just so sad. And these kids are taking guns to school and knives to school and fighting. And it's a lot. It's heartbreaking. And we just really, 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 really have to keep them in prayer. But aside from keeping them in prayer, again, we have to be the example for them. We really have to be the example for them. We just got to show them how to walk within the will of God, how to operate within the will of God, how to allow God to order your steps, how to study the word, how to pray, how to worship, how to just sit still sometimes and spend quiet time with God. We just really, really gotta help these kids walk the path of righteousness and holiness, and just let them know that to be cool, you ain't gotta do all this that these rappers and all that doing. To be cool, all you need to do is follow Christ. That's it. A lot of these kids feel like they gotta impersonate these celebrities, these rappers, these social media influencers, and all that. But let me share a story with y'all real quick. I remember being a kid, and I was on fire for Jesus as a kid, okay? Still is, but when I was a kid, let me tell y'all, next level. I used to put my roller skates on and skate around the neighborhood with my Bible and talk about Jesus. All I did day in and day out, anybody in my family and in my friends back then, they could tell y'all, all Tamara talked about was Jesus. I was teased. I got into fights. I got hit on, all kinds of stuff because I was on fire for Jesus. But guess what? I didn't stop. I believe in my heart and in my soul that fire and that them prayers and being in the word and all that as a kid is what kept me when I stepped out into the world. That protected me when I stepped out into the world. Because God knew. He knew. Though I strayed away, he knew I was coming back. And even while I was out in the world, God used me. So I'm just saying, it is just, why? Because somebody poured into me as a kid. Somebody poured into me. I knew I was wrong when I was out there in the world, but I still worshiped God. I still read my word. I was still praying because somebody poured and instilled that into me. And it is important that we do that. So again, just pray for our children. Pray for ourselves. I know we be having a lot on our plate. Like, life is hard for a lot of us right now, but just pray. Ask the Lord for strength. Ask him to pour into us and restore us and rejuvenate us so that we're able to pour into them and still and pour the things into them that was poured into us. So again, just pray and pour. Pray and pour. Pray and pour. Not just your kids, but other people's kids. If you ain't got no kids, find a kid and just pray and pour. Pray and pour. Pray and pour. But that's it. This was longer than I wanted it to be, but I had to just say what was on my heart. But again, I encourage each and every one of you to pray and pour.